Let's meet tonight's party panel. We've got the host of the Gary and Shannon Show, weekdays on KFI AM 640 in Los Angeles. Gary Hoffman is back. We've got Democrat strategist also in Los Angeles. She's a radio host. She's a Fox News contributor. She is Leslie Marshall, and the co-founder of Based Politics. I owe him his stake and my life. Brad Palumbo also on the party panel tonight. So, Gary, I will kick it off with you. Okay, so we all know that, sure, Arizona politically a strange place this cycle. California, always strange. How is it that control of the House of Representatives comes down to California? How can that be?
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, Republican voters in California have long felt their votes simply aren't going to matter. Whether it's in a midterm election like this, it's in a presidential election, we just know how California is going to go. But of the 19 seats that you referred to that have yet to be called, 10 of them here in California could go Republican, or at least 10 of those races here in California have yet to be called, and many of them lean Republican. It's unbelievable that we are waiting for California to get these votes done, and that B, California could alter the power dynamic in the House of Representatives. It blows me away. I've never seen this before.
So, Leslie, it's taking too long in too many places, and this is not how voting should be. You know, I don't agree that early voting should be 2 months before an election. Too many things can happen. I also don't agree that your ballot can be postmarked on the day of the election. I think it should arrive by the day of the election. It is part of the responsibility that we have as citizens. Voting is an important thing, and we're making too many allowances. And also, you know, people don't trust voting machines. They also don't trust humans because they take too damn long. How can we fix this whole system, Leslie?
I'm not going to say I have a cure-all for all of it, but I think one great idea would be give everybody the day off to vote, because like you said, it's a very important thing, and that is an issue for many people, and that's why some people say, well, I'm going to, you know, I got to vote late, or I got to vote early, you know, I've got to mail it in. And that's where we are at, not just in California. We see it in Arizona. We're also seeing it in states like Alaska. First of all, we're all the farthest west. Second of all, you have curated ballots. You have late ballots coming in, and you have ballots that aren't late, but they're coming in from the military, the U.S. military, and all those still need to be counted. And you know what? I'm not surprised it's coming down to California. This is one of those things like the polls that everybody believes. California is not as left and blue as everybody thinks. And Kenny, you know this. You're bi-coastal. You'll have a home out here. You know, we have pockets, big pockets of red. Sacramento, San Diego, the agricultural region north of me here in California. And, you know, this is showing it right now in these districts.
So, Brad, let's talk about this, because I don't mind chaos, but I also kind of have a little bit of ADD. So it's like, chaos is great, but I want to know the answer when I want to know it. I also think that divided government could be the best thing for this country right now. Do you disagree with that?
No, I think gridlock is always better than coalition or bipartisanship around terrible ideas. And often, sometimes bipartisan stuff ends up screwing us all over when the establishments on both sides can actually agree on something. But I think it's crazy that we're even in this situation, because this election, all the fundamentals were leaning towards the GOP. We all thought they'd do well because they should have done well. They had inflation out of control still. They had concern about crime. They had the political wins that always come with the first midterm after the opposite party takes power. And yet they still managed to botch it all by being, I think, tone deaf, by looking backwards on 2020 election denials, by taking some really extreme positions like forced birth for rape victims in certain states where that is so far removed from what the average person believes. And it's an own goal, frankly. I think Republicans should have done much better. And the fact that we're actually waiting for a few more seats to come in before we know if the Republicans will take the House shows they really dropped the ball.
They absolutely did. And you're right. It was pretty easy to focus on the things that were most important to people, but they couldn't even do that. And also ran some real crappy candidates. Looking at you all over Arizona. Well, the 2022 results, they're still not in. But 2024 talk already in full swing. And tomorrow night, God, this is exhausting. Former President Trump scheduled to make a, quote, important campaign announcement. Yay. This is other Republicans are grappling with the idea of another Trump run. Some say the party needs him. Others say Republicans should just move on. They have indeed. So what would happen to the race for the White House if Trump jumps in tomorrow night, Gary?
Nothing, I hope. I mean, listen, it's way, way too early to jump into the race. And I'm really surprised that enough people around him have suggested that he do so. I mean, just think, if nothing else, the Republican National Committee cannot pay his legal bills if he is a declared candidate. That alone, I wouldn't be surprised, would keep him from making the announcement. And in all honesty, I'm not certain that he makes an announcement tomorrow night. I'm not certain that this thing actually goes through. If you were to be a betting man, I would take the odds on that for sure. But listen, the other people who are going to announce their candidacy, run for the Republican nomination, whether it's Ron DeSantis or Mike Pompeo or Mike Pence or anybody like that, they're going to wait until April, May, June. And if Donald Trump gets a 4 or 5 month head start on them, I don't think it matters, because he's going to be the canary in the coal mine. He's going to yell about issues, and he's going to probably give them a lot of ideas about what not to say when running for the Republican nomination. I don't think it changes much of anything.
No, I think those are some really good points. And, you know, Leslie, it's not 2016. 2016, you know, we had a certain amount of decorum, particularly in the Republican Party, and the former president came and smashed all the norms, which was really fun to watch, you know, and when he would argue with the press and give people little nicknames, we'd never seen anything like it before. So for a while, it was fun, and we weren't sick of winning, but people have really gotten sick of losing. And to Gary's point, I think if he does, for some reason, announce, defying all logic, even from close friends within his inner circle who have been telling him, you know, skip the whole thing entirely. I think that if he does, for some reason, declare tomorrow, he flames out over the next couple months. Your thoughts, Leslie?
I'm going to agree with Gary on this, that I don't think that we're going to have the big surprise and reveal tomorrow night that everybody's expecting, because he announced he was going to do that, and then, of course, the election came up, but we'll see. But I don't think he can't not run because of who he is. And I'm sorry, going back to this narcissistic personality, he needs to run. He needs it. He needs to be the beast, if you will. But you talked about chaos, right? You talked about chaos with the ballots and with the counting of votes, and, you know, it drives you crazy, right? Well, I love the
waiting
chaos
drives me
that Trump
crazy.
Entering the race.
I like the chaos. It's the waiting that drives me nuts. But as you
well, I like the chaos that Trump would infuse into the race on the Republican side. I would get a lot of popcorn to sit back and watch that, because I think it would be easier for my party, the Democrats, to cruise to a victory yet again in the next election if that happens.
It's really interesting, because she's right about that. Trump is more of a galvanizing force for Democrats than he is for Republicans. And I think this is one of the few things that unites the country. Like, we didn't want Britney Spears' conservatorship to go on, and no one really wants President Trump to run again. Like, even people who say that they are just diehard fans and loved his policy and loved Trumpism, I think that they're all waking up to the idea that they can have that without the distraction of the former president himself. So, Brad, should every potential Republican contender move out of the way so DeSantis can pretty much run unopposed?
Yeah, look, the Democrats want to run against Trump. There is nothing they would love more, nothing that would get out their base, nothing that would divide the right more. If Republicans are smart, they'll avoid a 2016 repeat, and they'll rally around one person to go against Trump if he does announce, like DeSantis or whoever else it may be, rather than split the vote like they did. But look, if he does announce tomorrow, I think it'll go over like a fart during the middle of a church sermon, because people aren't in the mood for more Trump after his candidates just bombed in the election. I mean, this was literally just days ago that all his candidates that he handpicked bombed, and now the Republican Party is struggling to even take control of the House because of it. I've also just got to say, he is going to be almost 80 by the time he would take office.
Yeah.
As we're seeing with Joe Biden right now, that's too old to be president. Octogenarians belong in the nursing home eating pudding and watching Jeopardy, not in the Oval Office controlling the nuclear button.
They don't belong in nursing homes, but they don't belong in the Oval Office. I agree with you there. You know, we have really been tortured by a very small, very old group of power-hungry gummers, and all of them need to go away. So much of that is disqualifying. And, you know, if President Biden and President Trump want to run again, we need to mandate that they have psych tests and competency tests so we know exactly what we're working with. But, you know, I tend to agree with you that it is a distraction to have 16 people go up against him. It's a really, really stupid thing to do. And if you're not sick of losing, then keep the GOP doing some soul searching after not seeing the red wave they were hoping for. Could some new party leaders emerge to help change their fortunes? House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, oh, Kevin, thoughts and prayers, reportedly still going ahead with a leadership election tomorrow. It's interesting because he may not have the votes he needs. And if we still don't know if the GOP has won control of the House yet, how the hell can they vote for him? According to multiple reports, if McCarthy does not delay the election, the House Freedom Caucus plans to nominate Congressman Andy Biggs for a challenge. On top of that, current Speaker Nancy Pelosi says McCarthy doesn't have what it takes to be Speaker. Wiener neener. What does he need? Chardonnay stains on his shirt? We'll see a good old-fashioned catfight within the Republican Party. I certainly hope so. The party panel is back. Gary Hoffman, Leslie Marshall, Brad Palumbo. Once again, Gary, I go to you because Kevin McCarthy from the great state of California, but his leadership is it's teetering right now. Why is that?
Well, he doesn't have the history in the House the way that Nancy Pelosi does. She's been there for 417 years, which is a record, I understand. She also, being the first female Speaker of the House, brings with her a certain amount of charisma, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know why she says that he doesn't have what it's going to take to be Speaker of the House. By the way, I found out today in doing research for this that the Constitution does not explicitly spell out that it must be an incumbent member of the House nominated as the Speaker of the House.
Yep.
So why wouldn't the Freedom Caucus nominate Donald Trump? I mean, that's what they're basically going for. This palace intrigue, the infighting within, I mean, it's a ridiculous waste of time.
Funny.
It's a ridiculous distraction.
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy will be the next Speaker of the House without a problem.
I don't know if he will, because Nancy has a placard above her office that just says, "I will crush your balls." I don't know what it means. I don't know where she got it. So, Leslie, do you share the House Speaker's opinion that Kevin McCarthy, he does not have what it takes?
Yes, I do. And for a few reasons. One, is Kevin McCarthy a Republican or is Kevin McCarthy a Trump Republican? Did I say that right? You know, and that's where it lies. I mean, the Freedom Caucus has said even before this that they might put somebody up to challenge him. But now that this red wave hasn't even been a red drip, they certainly are going to do that with Biggs. I am very surprised, though, Kennedy, that, you know, one of the extreme conservatives in the party, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is actually coming to McCarthy's defense, which means that Kevin has promised her something.
Oh, God.
And a position.
Yeah, no, she's, I know a lot of people like her. I think she is nuttier than a squirrel's turds after eating fruitcake. That's how nutty she is. So, Brad, you're a rationalist. You are a liberty-minded friend of the universe. So how would you like to see this play out using your youth, intelligence, and shield of great humanity? I don't even know what that means, but you tell me what you would like to see, young man.
Well, the options that I would like aren't real options. Bringing back in Justin Amash or maybe sticking up Thomas Massey up there, but the establishment would never. The establishment would never allow that. He would wreak too much havoc by exposing too many things, and too many powerful interests would be threatened. And that's the thing about Kevin McCarthy. He's the new establishment. So he is well connected with the donors. He will keep the peace. I do think he ultimately will get the job. But it says a lot that we're at the point where we're questioning that. And it says a lot about the loss that they just had. But boy, I would not want this job. They do have all the power. Most members barely have any power and just get to vote yes or no, and they get to decide when bills come to the floor. It's all leadership. But to have such a narrow majority like they're going to have, and you'd have to be the Speaker of the House and try to wrangle everybody with the majority whip, but that would be an absolute nightmare. So you know what? Kevin McCarthy deserves it. Enjoy it.
You know what? You bring up a good point, and maybe it's a fascination with bondage equipment, but I think if they actually had a majority whip, like a physical whip that they could whip people with and wrap their knuckles and, you know, spank their bottoms, I think we might see a little bit more discipline in Washington, D.C. Am I wrong here, Gary Hoffman?
Well, I think the House physician would have to prescribe a lot more amoxicillin for the red drip that Leslie was referring to, if that's the case. Yeah. I just can't get that out of my head. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry, Leslie. That was a bad one. Whew.
The red drip. College is
I think it's a good one. Trickle, drip.
I don't know, man. Anything that reminds us of political chlamydia, I think only exacerbates our great divides. Gary, Leslie, and Brad, great to see you all. Brad, I will see you later.
Kennedy.
Thank you for everything in the world.